Sat Shri Akal Ji today. We are immersing ourselves in some really powerful, timeless wisdom. We're looking at couplets written by Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, and they speak so directly to the pressures, the pressures we feel every single day. Doesn't matter your age or what you do.
Exactly. And what we're exploring here are those really universal, deep-seated issues, that feeling we all get sometimes of just being completely overwhelmed. The way it's explained here isn't just about external pressure, though. It's more like an internal blindness that can take hold. But these couplets, they offer a clear path, a very precise way through that complexity. And when you hear the original words of that first couplet, actually, A.P. Singh from Sikh Dharamsal has this recitation.
Oh.
It sounds incredibly lively, powerful.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you can almost hear the frantic energy, that constant wavering it describes. It really drives home how much momentum we build up in this chase.
प्राणी कछु न चेतई मद माया के अंध कहो नानक बिन हर भजन परत ताहे जम फंध.
Wow. If the insight is about handling life's pressures, what's the core diagnosis here? What are these couplets saying is actually happening to us when we get swept up in the daily hustle?
Well, the couplet essentially says that when people are blinded by worldly distractions, the constant chase for stuff, or even just the sheer volume of the daily to-do list, they completely forget how short life really is. They just lose perspective on the time we actually have. And what happens next is, well, it's crucial. Without living in remembrance of the divine, which acts as this anchor of virtue, they get caught in these really debilitating self-imposed traps.
That idea of blindness, that's fascinating. It's not just being unaware. It sounds more like getting your priorities wrong because everything feels so urgent. So for someone listening, what does that trap actually look like day to day? What are the signs of this spiritual blindness?
It's a perfect illustration of how we just get so immersed in everything. Our jobs, our work, family duties, the constant pressure to handle it all perfectly. And we become, well, blind to our own mental state. We slip into this negative state of mind, anger, anxiety, maybe depression, jealousy, even hatred towards others.
And often that anger isn't even really about the person you lash out at, is it? It's more like a release valve for all that built-up internal stress.
Precisely. We're just so stressed up sometimes, and things pile on, and we just say something bad to someone. For example, I remember in our friend group, there was this guy who had just started a new job. And he was pretty stressed, I could tell. And one day, another friend was just talking to him, trying to be funny, joking about something minor. And my friend, the one with the new job, he just got really upset, said some really bad, rude things. And unfortunately, it blew up into a fight, a really intense one. They weren't even talking to each other for days afterwards.
Wow, that's a huge cost. A simple joke ends up costing a friendship, even temporarily, just because the stress was already there, simmering under the surface.
Yeah. And after a few days, I tried to talk to the guy who got upset, asked him what was really going on, and he just explained. He was actually crying, saying, I'm just so stressed with work. I've got to manage my family stuff. I'm trying to spend time with you guys, and I just had a really long, hard day. I was stressed. He said, so unfortunately, I just slammed all that anger and hatred onto our friend. Thankfully, I managed to call the other friend, got them talking again, and it smoothed over. It was good again. But, if they hadn't talked again, they might never have spoken again, for sure.
Wow. So yeah, that idea of the brevity of life was just instantly forgotten. Replaced by this temporary rage, really fueled by burnout, this state of emotional volatility. It sounds like the couplet describes it almost like being tied up, like a kind of bondage.
Exactly. Without living in that remembrance of the divine, which, we can understand as living consciously. Ethically, we get so indulged in these negative states, they become like a rope tied around your neck. And the more we forget that divine connection, that grounding, the tighter that rope gets. It chokes out the very virtues we need to navigate life peacefully. The couplet is a warning, really. Without seeking that connection to the Creator, we fall prey to these vices we create for ourselves.
It's such a powerful image. The rope of anxiety tightening just because we prioritize the urgent, the immediate over the eternal. Okay, philosophically that makes sense. But how do we actually apply this? Like when I'm staring down 4 deadlines tomorrow, how do I practically implement remembrance of the divine?
Well, translating it to the modern world, it's about things like building conscious boundaries around your time and energy, practicing humility, establishing some ethical clarity for yourself. It forces you to pause, even for a second, and ask, is this anxiety, this chase, this need for, say, digital validation, is it going to matter in a week
Mm-hmm.
or a year? It's about perspective. And what's really fascinating here is the depth you find in the original words. This particular couplet, it's recited beautifully by A.P. Singh from Sikh Dharamsal. And when you hear it in the original language, you just realize how lively and powerful it sounds. It really urges you towards that clarity.
So the core instruction for us today isn't really about running away from our responsibilities, is it? It's more about fighting through the noise, the constant distractions of daily life, and focusing instead on real, lasting priorities. Living with virtue, trying to genuinely enjoy the flow of life without that crushing weight of self-imposed pressure.
Exactly. The key takeaway here is choosing awareness over distraction. It's about allowing ourselves to live in a state where we're not defined by these temporary anxieties, but instead guided by, well, timeless wisdom.
That's a great way to put it. Before we wrap up, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you found this valuable. Maybe share this with your family and friends too, so not only you, but they also can learn and, grow together on this path. Sat Shri Akalji.